Yeah.
Yep.
Now you're doing it.
Yes.
Pleasant evening, morning, or night to everyone, wherever you are in the world. My name is Daniela Gabriel, and tonight I'll be the chairperson for this evening's forum. We want to say a special thank you to everyone for taking the time to attend this important discussion. We encourage everyone to sit back, enjoy, pay attention, and participate in this evening's thought-provoking discourse on resistance to growing blackface imperialism, focusing on Haiti. Now, at this moment, we'll just like, as in customary in Grenada, we'll like Miss Grace Mitchell to do. Miss Mitchell.
Hello. Hi, are you hearing me?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I'd like at this moment to ask all assembled here, those online, those hearing from various communicating medium, for a moment of silence. This is in order of the people who have died due to violence, conflict, senseless tragedy, those who are experiencing difficulties, gruesome violence. Silence for the people of Haiti, Palestine, Sudan, Congo, people of the Caribbean, young people and people on a whole who have lost their lives for what I call senseless thinking. And two, that there be peace. And I say, let there be peace. Let there be knowledge. A people without knowledge shall perish. So let there be knowledge, which includes love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. And at this juncture, we begin silence for 30 seconds, starting now. And so be it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to invite our founder and long-standing Mr. Joseph Antoine to give his remarks. Mr. Antoine?
Yes, I'm trying to find. Yes, good night, everybody, and good morning, wherever you are. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the inconvenience on the technical problem we had. And also to apologize, I haven't seen the moderator, so I probably will have to do that function. Yes, we have chosen to do this event because we feel obligated to advocate on behalf of our brothers and sisters in Haiti, notwithstanding the fact that even Caribbean people treat Haitians with scorn, and people may not like to hear that. Various Caribbean countries expel Haitians when they come to the island. This happened in Grenada and other islands during the course of the year. So, in solidarity with our Haitian friends, our brothers and sisters, we thought it is important that we convene this forum at this point in time, because there's quite a great deal of misunderstanding. And of course, the narrative of those who intend to invade Haiti, as they've done in other places, is to give people the impression that the problem is with gangs. But we know it's not just problem with gangs, that the gangs were created and the very people who are asking us to legitimize the invasion. And so I hope that this evening or this morning, wherever you are, we will seek to have a better understanding and also develop a greater solidarity with the people of Haiti. And I'm glad that we have on panel 4 distinguished panelists, and so that they would help us to understand what is unfold, what have unfolded, and what are the dangers and the complexity involved in the Haitian situation. I will not endeavor to hold you longer because we have already missed quite a bit of time. And then I do not have the capacity at the moment to elaborately introduce the speakers. So I will ask them based on the position we are lined up, to ask them to begin the contribution, starting with Lucia. We will start with Lucia. We hope that people can have 10 to 15 minutes presenting, and then we will have, when we finish, we will have conversation, question and answer. So we have had to adjust how we do the things now. So, but we believe that if we do it still, in spite of the problem, we will be able to use the recording as a means of educating people. So I now call Lucia from Brazil. I'm sorry I cannot do the introduction in terms of say who you are, but maybe you could tell us a little about yourself before you start, Lucia.
I'm sorry, Mr. Antoine. I'll assist you in this. Good night, Lucia. I'm sorry that Mr. Russ Christopher, he's not with us at the moment, and Mr. Antoine is not able to do the introduction, but I'll quickly introduce you and we could continue, right? So those of you here who may not be aware of some of the speakers, Miss Lucia Ortiz began working at Friends of the Earth, Brazil in 2000 as a rebel geologist and environmental justice activist committed to fighting coal-fired power plants and mining in southern Brazil. Since then, she has joined the anti-globalization movement, has been a World Social Forum, and several international forums. She also has been in charge of the local campaigns and national networks. She has served as a regional coordinator for the ATALC's Climate and Energy Program, and as well as an international coordinator of Friends of the Earth International's Economic Justice and Resistance to Neoliberalism programs. As a mother and contributing in the environment, feminist and anti-racist and anti-fascist movement, Ms. Lucia Ortiz is committed to system change and internationalist solidarity and is the president of Friends of the Earth. Ms. Ortiz, thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniela and Grace and Joseph and Friends of the Earth Granada for inviting me to join this conversation. Thanks to my fellow speakers present today. It's an honor for me to share this space and learn from you all, women and men from the Caribbean. I hope you can understand my accent, my English. I say sorry for that now, being from Brazil. And I will start tonight asking for the blessing of Mãe Preta and Conselho de Azibabas da Nação Moçambique, to the guides and entities that sustain our hope and faith, so that I can speak to you all respectfully and in solidarity. I am Lucia Ortiz. I'm from Friends of the Earth Brazil. I'm a white woman, for those that don't see me but will listen to us. My hair is short, I'm wearing glasses, and I'm using a t-shirt saying Amigas da Terra. Well, I've never been to Haiti, as I've never been to Palestine. Both historical struggles for emancipation and liberation of peoples now facing brutal violence and attempts to genocide. These two territories and peoples are very key and symbolic for us in environmental justice movement, committed to fight against all forms of oppression, as well in the convergences of social movements fighting for liberation of our Americas and building people's power and sovereignty in our region. I'm here representing ATALC, that is Friends of the Latin America and Caribbean, a collective of 40 environmental justice organizations, being 3 of them in the Caribbean, Grenada, Curaçao, and Haiti Survey. Our comrades from Haiti have been sharing with us about the extreme hunger and fear associated to the gangs, violence, and political instability in the country. He could also not join us recently for Friends of the International Assembly in New Orleans due to the danger in the roads that he had to walk in order to reach Port-au-Principe, and also due to the closing of the borders in Dominican Republic this November. So as ATALC, we are building along with allied popular social movements in the region since 2015, a process that was launched in Havana that we call the Continental Journey in Defense of Democracy and Against Neoliberalism. That was the year that Macri in Argentina and then Trump in US took power. But what really pushed us as a region in working class solidarity to march again together at that time was the learnings from the modern coups during the last progressive government cycles in Latin America. First, it was Haiti, then Honduras, then Paraguay. Then just 1 year after Havana gathering the coup in Brazil in 2016 against President Dilma Rousseff. And right now, the same is happening in Guatemala as a frontal attack to democratic elected Semilla Party and to the rights of indigenous peoples, the majority of population in Central America. Also, we witnessed the disaster of election of Milei in Argentina, that this Sunday, December 10, the Human Rights International Day, gathered a representative of extreme right-wing and fascism all over the world for this inauguration of what we know will be 4 years of dark and repressive times for the people of our neighborhood countries. Just as recent we saw with Trump in US and Bolsonaro in Brazil. The Continental Journey fights at the regional level and at the global level to dismantle the power of corporations, transnational corporations, including those behind imperialism, offensives, and militarization of our territories, those benefiting from neoliberal and neocolonial free trade and investment protection agreements that we call the architecture of impunity of transnational corporations. The journey is committed to defend democracies and people's sovereignty in Americas and Caribbean, to build from the bottom up an international solidarity movement for people's regional integration. It is joined by trade unions, popular feminists, peasants, ALBA movements, including the Cuban chapter, grassroots, global justice in US, and Jubilee South Americas. And with Jubilee South, we have been learning to join forces and denouncing and opposing the role of Brazil in the military occupation of Haiti, especially now that we are in my country recovering the democracy after 6 years of the coup, followed by the fascist ultra-right-wing government of Bolsonaro. Those alliances have proven the only way forward in our political struggle for environmental, economic, social, gender, and racial justice. Now we are under the third term of Lula government, and there is still a need for transparent evaluation and a shift from the role that Brazil has played in leading MINUSTA, the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, with soldiers from 19 countries commanded by Brazilian troops for 13 years, from 2004 to 2017. Brazil military mission in Haiti is a symbol of imperialist violation and humanitarian disaster. During the so-called peace mission, Brazil sent 30,000 soldiers to Haiti, the largest Brazilian military force abroad after the Paraguayan War. The situation in Haiti at the time Brazil left was more impoverished, unstable country with 50,000 deaths from cholera that could have been avoided by UN, as the epidemic hit Haiti for the first time ever in 2010 due to MINUSTA's presence. It was also the year of the earthquake, the year of electoral coup, but the Brazilian and UN responsibility was recognized only 3 years after, in 2013. So the violence against women and children by troops resulted at least in 280 children being recognized as being generated by soldiers' assaults to women. And in the list of their nationalities, Brazil is in the second place. There has not been any justice for this mother and children so far. After all that, the first president elected after the coup in Brazil in 2016, Bolsonaro, rewarded the Brazilian generals who spent time in Haiti with ministerial posts. General Augusto Heleno, who was in the mission for the first commander in 2004 and was responsible for the massacre in Porto Príncipe in 2005, joined Jair Bolsonaro as his chief ministry of Institutional Security Office. General Santos Cruz, General Luiz Eduardo Ramos, Floriano Peixoto, Edson Leal Pujol, all of those names of men that I could read here, they were serving the MINUSTA troops, and they were also serving to the fascist government of the Bolsonaro. And now these generals are until today being investigated for the terrorist acts and attempts for a new coup d'etat that vandalized the Federal District of Brazil in Brasilia and official public buildings in this January of 8th of January this year. So it was a week after the inauguration of the third term of Lula government. So in this context now, in a letter to the UN Security Council in August this year, the Secretary General Antonio Guterres called the approval of a specialized and capable multinational police force empowered by military means, coordinated with Haitian national policy, as an alternative to traditional peace mission, whose image has been jeopardized after the failures, deviations, and hundreds of cases of sexual abuse by military personnel in Haiti, in Congo, and the Central African Republic. So at that time, US President Joe Biden particularly asked Brazil to use its good relationship with Beijing and Moscow to try to facilitate the resolution to be approved by the Council. Then Kenya has pledged to send 1,000 police officers to the country, along with Jamaica and Bahamas. Brazil at this time announced its participation would be restricted to the police training. The proposal would be that the Brazilians would help Haitians set up an intelligence service for investigation and to offer training in combating urban guerrillas in conflictive territories. But the tendency, we know, is for Brazil to offer elite policy detachments that operate in Brazilian areas in similar challenges, as that have also previously worked in Haiti, such as in Rio de Janeiro, Military Policy Special Operations Battalion that we call BOPI, and people fear this in favelas and poor urban areas all over the country. However, this police partnership with Israel companies on war and surveillance technologies and the behavior of national policy forces in Brazil in favelas are one of the most brutal, urgent, and chronic human rights problems in our country. We also, by any doubts, know that disproportionately affects under the Black population, especially with assassination and imprisonment of young Black men, It's also related to the political violence, especially against women and LGBTQ community by private militias. Those private militias are made of ex-policemen, some associated with Bolsonaro family, for instance, those that is still today, 5 years after, being investigated and impugned for the murder of Marielle Franco in 2018, Rio de Janeiro. To the North Americas, Lula government then declined leading a new mission to Haiti, assessing that after 30 years of Brazilian action, Haiti is worse today than it was before, and that the training of Brazilian and foreign policy officers should be followed by the work of human rights organizations. But finally, the UN Security Council approved the policy detachment to Haiti, led by Kenya, with the blessing of US that says that it intends to provide logistical support, but initially will not send any military personnel of its own to Haiti. So on the other hand, and I think this is something that I would like to hear your analysis as well, but for me, it's quite shocking that US, when vetoing the humanitarian aid and CSR 5 proposed to in the resolutions at the UN Council, being from October or now in December, when they do this, they kind of do the same, like leave the dirty work for those that are going to be fighting on the ground, or even for those that are representing US in the Security Council for this terrible job and terrible gesture of raising the hand like this and saying they would veto the resolutions for peace, for humanitarian access, or for ceasefire in Palestine, being them both the ambassador and vice ambassador of US, a Black woman and a Black man. And it seemed like make all of us be hit in our heart to see this gesture and this position to avoid, that could avoid a genocide that we are all testifying in Gaza. So I leave my intervention here with the question that for how long we'll be trapped on a war of narratives when those imperial powers that always profited from the colonialism, imperialism, wars, dictatorship, authoritarian regime will keep posing at democratic nations while destroying people's sovereignty, hope, climate, culture, history, and territories. So to invite you all for building more hope with us, I would like to invite you all for this process that we are building, Latin American Caribbean journey for people's integration. We are on our way to a mass gathering that would happen in February in the next year in the triple border of Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, in Foz do Iguaçu, at UNILA, that is the Federal and Public University of Latin American Integration. And on this journey, we will be honoring the memory of regional humanitarian leaders, as well of Santo Domingo's revolution, aiming to reconstruct the days of hope and solidarity inspired by the Black leadership that made Haiti the first liberated country of Americas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucia, and I'm very impressed with your presentation. Notwithstanding the difficulty that some people may have with the accent, but I think you were very profound in your contribution. So now we will move on to Frank.
Okay, thank you very much.
But before you will go on to Frank, Daniela would introduce you. As I said, I don't have the capacity. I wasn't need to do those things, so she's going to help me. Daniela?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Antoine. Frank Murray, he is a representative of the Rail and Maritime Workers Union for many years, until retirement now. He's chair of the retired members of the RMT Union. He's a diligent activist for reparations for the enslavement and kidnapping of Africans from their homeland. Mr. Murray, thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you for asking me. After we've just heard from Lucia, and also from Joseph, and Joseph mentioned something about the Haitians being turned back from other Caribbean islands they might try to immigrate to because of what's going on in Haiti. You know, this fills me with a lot of disgust, because I actually look at the glorious and the inspiring history of Haiti and what they have done for what was done for say revolution as a whole, as you just mentioned, the first actual successful revolution of a Black country, and it's something that is praiseworthy. You know, if you look back at the sacrifices that was made, you know, it just fills me with anger that you know, this is how, and this is where Haiti is at. Such a glorious country should be, you know, something that we should be revering in. And I looked at the actual history. For someone I was brought up in England, and I went through my whole schooling, and I was never taught about anything to do with Africa, with you know, the Caribbean, where I come from. You know, it was not, we were not part of history. You know, as such, I really hated to sit down in a history class. And in fact, I can tell you about most of the kings of England. I can tell you about some of the things that happened in you know, most of the European countries, but of ourselves, there was nothing. In my later life, that's when I discovered Haiti. And like, this was a revelation to me, and I couldn't get enough of the history of Haiti. It meant so much to me to actually see that, you know, we weren't always victims as we were portrayed. You know, we were actually out there doing things and changing the world. Because had it not been for the revolution in Haiti, they would not have been the speed of the ending of enslavement would not have been as fast as it was. Haiti itself, you know, frightened the colonialists, the imperialists, into moving and being more hasty with their releasing us from enslavement. In fact, if you think about what was happening in America at the time, the continent, the country of Florida, right, was expecting an invasion from Haiti, led by Toussaint Louverture, at any minute. You know, they were actually expecting this to happen. And if you take what's happening on the continent of South America, right, with Simon Bolivar and these things, they were actually helped with their revolution from money provided and arms and ships provided by Haiti to allow them to go and liberate their countries. And only one stipulation that the Haiti government made is that if you do liberate your country, you must release or stop enslavement. You must stop all the slavery that's going on there. Now, when I think about this, you know, and I see, you know, people, you know, being turned back when they land on your shores, asking for refuge, it, you know, fills me with anger. If you you know, you have situations of successes. When you see now they've got a film going around with in this country, now it's on release, the new film of Napoleon. The first person to ever defeat Napoleon was Toussaint Overture, an Haitian man, right? He was only stopped, but he was only defeated with lies, as we are seeing today, a lot of lies. He was actually going to peace talks when they imprisoned him in France. They captured him on the boat and took him to France and imprisoned him. Now, had it not been for that, you know, we would have been, I suppose there would have been a lot of other things going on. In fact, when Napoleon was deposed and exiled, he was asked if he had any regrets. But let me tell you something. Before I tell you what his answer was, Florida, they were expecting, as I said before, that Haiti would be invading Florida with a whole host of 50,000. That was the strength of Toussaint's army, right? And when during the American independence, the biggest army they could put up was 20,000, right? Now, Toussaint's army was 50,000. Now, they were expecting at any moment an invasion in Florida from Haiti, right? In fact, a lot of the enslaved people of Haiti, of America, was not told about what happened in Haiti. In fact, the southern part of America kept the word Haiti away from their enslaved people. Whereas the people in the north of USA, they were actually, some states started to abolish the enslavement. And so whatever happened in Haiti was pushing the abolition on. Now, if when actually the expectation of this invasion of Florida was happening, which was in the minds of the enslavers, it wasn't so far-fetched. Because let's go back to Napoleon. The only regret Napoleon had was that he didn't embrace Toussaint. And by embracing Toussaint and taking him on board, he had to, he would have then turned Toussaint to go and liberate America. Because don't forget, the French actually had Louisiana, right? Which they've just taken from Spain. Now, if they had the army, because now if France was going to invade America, they would have had to use Haiti, but they no longer had Haiti because Haiti was taken away by the Haitians, so they couldn't use Haiti as a staging point. But if Napoleon had embraced Toussaint, he would have then had a massive army to move forward, and the Americans would have been speaking French today had that happened. But it didn't happen, and what happened is that Napoleon had to sell Louisiana to the Americans for next to nothing, because he couldn't stage his war effort on that thing. So if we look, there's so much history that we don't know. And because I wasn't taught it, I am now finding these histories out, and I am, being propelled by, these things. I'm fed up, or I was fed up of being a victim, right? As if we were just waiting there for some white man to come and liberate us, not realizing the amount of history we have that have not been told, So this is what's driving me on. And to think that, we don't appreciate what Haiti had done for us, that we can turn them back when they come in. Now, what's going on in Haiti now, that is something, I suppose, when we come towards the end, I can join in on that argument. But to tell you the truth, right now, the bit that affects me mostly is that people are actually turning away Haitians from their countries. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Frank. And we will continue the momentum because time have already elapsed on us. So we will call up a brother from Haiti and from Kenya, Pigeon, who will give us an African or Kenyan perspective on the resistance to a black-face imperialism. So thank you very much and welcome. And again, Daniela will do the introduction in terms of give an idea who he is. So Daniela, can you go ahead?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Antoine. I know Mr. Russ.
No, that was no pigeon.
Yes, I do understand that, Mr. Antoine. Mr. Russ, I know you may not have been able to notice, but Mr. Russ has joined in this moment to continue the moderation as is supposed. So, Mr. Russ, would you be able to continue and announce Mr. Pigbin?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you clearly.
Mr. Pigeon Odimwengu, former presidential aspirant of Kenya in 2022, founder and interim party leader of the Accountability and Transparency Party. He's a co-chair of Conscientism Study Group, member, Global African Congress, a member of the Independent Candidates Forum of Kenya as a council member. The Pigeon, forgive me for this, is a Tugo movement and former Secretary General, University of Embu. Progressive radical Pan-Africanist, 27-year-old bachelor with a Bachelor of Educational Arts at the University of Embu. That is Sir Pigbin Odimwengu.
Thank you, Speaker. Can you hear me, Director?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir. Yes, you're clear, Pigeon.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, allow me to send my revolutionary and solidarity greetings for the women who are gathered here today, of course, to discuss about the Black affairs. As it has been said here, something very important. I'd like to give a presentation today in regards to blackface imperialism. I happened, of course, part of this week to be attending.
Pigeon, we're getting a lot of feedback.
Your mic is kind of muted, Pigeon.
Is my mic far away or is muted? Kindly let me know.
No, you can hear you now, yes.
Okay, I'll say that part of this week, I have been actually engaged in following the lives and the history of the Mau Mau freedom fighters who actually inspired the war or the fight for freedom across the Africa. And part of the few things we realized that they have not actually been compensated or their lives have not actually been reparated or repaired. And this having come from the history of Haiti, I know the struggle, the fight that actually they made to fight various colonial forces. And I'm sure that instead of fighting them now, we should actually be asking for their reparatory justice for what was done to them and to the ancestors of Haiti. But it's so unfortunate that actually the reparatory struggles will have also to include the neo-colonialism forces that are going on now. And this is an extension of injustice to the people and our community of people who are taken away from us so many years ago. Permit me to start by actually looking at some few history between Kenya and Haiti. There has been, of course, limited contact or historical connection between Kenya and Haiti, despite of the recent development that have brought them closer together. In the pre-colonial era, there is no documented evidence of direct interaction between the two regions before colonization. During the colonial era, both countries were colonized by, of course, Britain, and part of Haiti, of so many colonizers, France was part of them, experiencing vastly different historical trajectories. Post-colonial era, following the independence, both Kenya and Haiti faced distinct challenges and pursued separate paths in international relations. Of recent development, in 2010, of course, Haiti earthquake, Kenya provided humanitarian assistance in the aftermath of the devastating earthquake that struck Haiti in around 2010. In 2023, during diplomatic relations, September 2023, of course, Kenya and Haiti formally established a diplomatic relation. And to be of record, there was no embassy of Haiti in Kenya or Kenyan embassy in Haiti. And this, of course, followed so many factors, including one, which is very important, is the UN Security Council resolution, where Kenya is actually pushed forward to having agreed to lead the police force in Haiti to assist with the ongoing security crisis. Of the current situation, there is emerging partnership. The establishment of diplomatic relations mark the beginning of a new chapter, of course, between Kenya and Haiti relations. Potentials for collaborations. Both countries have expressed interest in working together on various areas, include, of course, security and peacekeeping, economic development, climate change, and cultural exchange. Now, to take it in context of the Kenya-Haiti mission, it is on record that in 2022 July, the security situation in Haiti, of course, deteriorated dramatically with widespread of fear and insecurity. On October 14th, the same year 2022, of course, Haiti officially requested assistance from the international community to address this security crisis. In 2023, September 29th, Kenya and Haiti established a formal diplomatic relation. On October 2nd, 2023, Kenya-led peacekeeping force was approved by the United Nations Security Council resolution. This mission will be funded by voluntary contribution, with the US pledging up to $200 million. On October 13th, 2023, Kenya Cabinet actually approves the deployments of 1,000 police to lead a multinational peacekeeping mission in Haiti. But at this particular moment, the Kenya court then barred the deployment approved by the UN security earlier that time. That was actually after the challenge by one of the politicians who was my fellow presidential aspirant. And the ruling and the hearing on that was to be made on 24th of October. On November 10th, the same year, Kenya Interior Cabinet Secretary, who is called Kithure Kindiki, announces that the mission will cost around 36 billion Kenya shillings, approximately $237 million. And it will require deployment of course, the 1,000 people you mentioned. Kindiki, who is the Secretary or Minister for Security, told the members of the parliament that deployment, of course, will only happen unless all resources are mobilized and availed. Then he also says that the troop of Kenya or the police that are to be sent in Haiti will not leave Kenya ground until that is done. Of very important concern here is the actually which category of the police are being sent. But apart from that, on 16th November 2023, the Kenya Parliament then approved the deployment. But this actually happened when Kenya High Court had already blocked that I was raising. Another question I'm raising, or we are raising in regards to this mission, is effectiveness. As I've said, there have been so many peacekeeping missions that have been led, of course, by Kenya and Africans that have failed. A classical example is what's going on in Congo, where the Congo government is calling upon all peacekeeping missions to get out of Congo. Because basically they have succeeded to exploit and actually loot resources of Congo in collaboration with their puppets in the name of UN mission. A classical example is the claim of Rwanda influence in Congo, the Uganda influence in Congo, and now the Kenya mission influence in Congo. So we believe that there's no guarantee that the mission in Haiti will achieve its objective and contribute to the lasting peace and stability unless the objective is not peace and stability, which is possible, and we all know about that. Pan-Africanisms, as ourselves, as progressive Pan-Africans, promote solutions that address the root causes of conflict and empower community to build sustainable peace. The cost and the opportunity cost. The mission is estimated to take around $237 million, raising concerns about the financial burden on Kenya, of course, an equivalent to 39 billion, and the potential opportunity cost of diverting resources from other critical initiatives. Despite of Kenya claiming that this will actually be funded by UN member states facilitating and funding this, based on the statement from our Minister of Security that the Kenya mission not leave unless they are paid.
Back on.
We still believe that this mission will actually be that money that is to be spent in Congo will actually be used for something valuable than actually to take people in Haiti and actually cause damages to our brothers in Haiti. Apart from that, as I almost come to my end, the militaristic approach, overemphasizing military solutions to a complex problem can be counterproductive and hinder long-term peace-building efforts. Pan-Africanism advocates for peaceful conflict resolution and dialogue as alternative approaches to addressing instability. The key concern again is the focus on symptoms, not actually the root causes. The mission primarily addressed the immediate symptoms of violence in Haiti without focusing on the underlying causes such as poverty, inequality, and lack of economic opportunities. We emphasize addressing the root causes of conflict to achieve sustainable peace and development. There's also risk of exploitation. This means mission will potentially be used to exploit resources and labor, further accelerating the existing inequalities. As I've said, we've seen what is going on in Congo. We actually advocate for promoting economic justice and ensure that international engagement benefits both parties involved. The alternative solutions include we propose investing in economic development and poverty reduction programs, supporting the development of strong and democratic institutions, promoting regional cooperation and integration, and providing humanitarian assistance and promoting sustainable development initiatives. In conclusion, the Kenya-Haiti peacekeeping mission raises concerns about neocolonialism, neglecting the root causes, and diverting resources from Africa's own current and many demanding issues, not only for Africa in the continent, but even in Haiti. There are so many challenges that are going on in Haiti that the resources to be used for this war should actually be used to improve the livelihood instead of military intervention. We, the progressive Pan-Africans, call for efforts that should prioritize supporting Haiti-led solutions that address the underlying causes of instability and promote peace and development. We have seen the actions of these police officers in Kenya. To my previous informations, there are allied squad that is coming to Haiti in the name of police. Even if they are within the police ranks, these are highly trained, highly sophisticated military or police elite group. In fact, they are paramilitary to my concern, because the two departments that are coming to Haiti is called General Service Unit, then a unit, elite unit in Kenya that deals with counterterrorism and even uprisings. And another unit that is coming is Rapid Deployment Unit, which is RDU unit, which deals with conflict and all conflict resolution issues. They even attack or fight Al-Shabaab. So these two elite squads are very keen squad. But apart from that, there's concerns also between these police officers that even they are, leave alone the what is called the money that is budgeted for this mission, them who will go out and die for the white man or the puppet man who is sending them, or the neo-colonial who is sending them to Haiti, might not even receive the proposed or the so said amount allocation that is to be given to them. I have come across many police officers who went for several missions for this country of the UN and never got any pay or better pay for their livelihood, even after sacrificing their life. So it is not worth to even go for these missions as Africans. And it is very clear, majority of them are not ready to go based on my interactions with so many of the police officers in those departments. And those who are going probably go thinking that they can be money out, but many of them will die, be buried, and nobody or no government will come out clearly to talk about this. I'll say, actually, we must condemn black imperialism against ourselves. Accepting a Haiti mission is accepting to fight for each other. And when now they will come for us, who will be there for us? Now they are for Haiti, and they're using Kenya, a country I come from, to fight their brothers. Now, when they're done with Haiti, they'll come to Kenya, and they'll same use another black country to fight Kenya. So this must be stopped. We can never fight within ourselves, because if we do this, we weaken ourselves and we actually give them opportunity to advance their missions. So thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to join you now, as much as very late, almost 2:37 a.m. in Kenyan time. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Pigeon, for your well-informed contribution to this serious matter. Looking forward to have you give more information during the exchange. At this particular time, we would like to mention the next panelist, and that is Jean Saintville. If I get that right, correct me, John. If I get it wrong, leave me alone. I'm trying. Jean Saintville is a writer, an activist on spoken word, storytelling, literary performance, and visual arts. He is also a graduate of the University of Waterloo with a Bachelor of Science in Biological Science. And he's also the co-founder of two grassroots organizations. Akasan is one, and Jaku Kanbit, which follow the principles popularized by Marcus Garvey. He is also an artist, activist immersed in global peace and social justice movements, and he stands in favor of long overdue reparations to the peoples of Africa and to the Americas. Mr. John, you're free to speak, sir.
Thank you very much for this kind invitation, brothers and sisters, and a special thanks to you who, for whom it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and you know it's really appreciated. It's very comfortable 6:30 p.m. here in Ottawa, where I'm speaking from. I would like to simply try to complete or add or reinforce some of the excellent points that were made by Lucia, Frank, and Pigbin. Really, I think we are living in extraordinary times. Unfortunately, it's not because of great things happening in the world of science, but it's like this incident that just happened a few minutes ago online, which reminds us that the criminals of 2023 are no more sophisticated than the slavers like Napoleon Bonaparte, Jefferson, Elizabeth, who, you know, thought that in order to enrich themselves, their families, and build empires for themselves in Europe, the best way to do it was to go and kidnap Africans on the continent of Alkebulan, also called Africa. So this could be discouraging for people who aspire to a world of progress. Like Brother Frank mentioned, it is not a coincidence that you grew up in the UK and you learned almost nothing about revolutions that happened in the Caribbean, not just in Haiti, which is something that we need to remember. Africans revolted everywhere, from the shores of Africa during the trips and all over the Caribbean. People came from Guadeloupe to help the Haitians. Some of our ancestors were first enslaved in Brazil. There were countless revolts in Brazil, whether it is Zumbi, but we don't know our history because instead of learning about ourselves, the white supremacist forces committed multiple crimes, not only the physical crimes, but the psychological crimes, causing us to worship their invented ancestors, not even real. Okay. Africans, you mentioned that you know about the history of Europe. You also probably know about the mythical history of Europe. You know, all of the invented gods, you know, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, all of these people who never existed. We know about them, and that's the reality, and that's the place that they have taken, the place of our real ancestors. And that's why part of my work is actually to make sure that in my language, in Haitian Creole, I share the story of Zumbi, the story of Casilda, the story of Tupac Amaru, because all of these people resisted um, the period of crime, outrageous crime that we are still suffering from as we speak today. I would mention also that not only have they hidden some of the history, they have also falsified greatly. So, for instance, people who are learning about the Haitian Revolution will talk about Toussaint Louverture, who actually did open, you know, the way for the Africans to get trained using the same instruments as the Europeans in order to take their weapons and beat them with it. However, the success of the revolution happened after this Toussaint Louverture was kidnapped and starved to death in France. It's Jean-Jacques Dessalines, whose name has been made taboo. They are afraid of even expressing his name. And that's what he also said, that his name would be in horror to all dictators, slavers, thieves around the world. And Jean-Jacques Dessalines created not a black supremacist empire, but an empire where even the Polish who were taken to Haiti by Napoleon Bonaparte's army were offered Haitian citizenship and lived among the Africans after the liberation of the island peacefully. And to this day, you will find descendants of the Polish on the island. So I wanted to say this couple of things with regards to history, and also to underscore that it wasn't just the French who were beaten. There are 55,000 British soldiers who perished in Haiti, including some fools who were walking around claiming that, you know, they were abolitionists. Okay. John Simcoe in Canada was walking around saying that, you know, he would like to offer the Africans more freedom, more days of rest. And then he went to Haiti to fight the real abolitionist. And the Haitians beat his ass so bad that he went to England in disgrace. The Spanish also got a beating. Okay. So all of this wasn't done so that in 2023, thousands of Africans would be perishing in the Atlantic Ocean looking for food for their children. That wasn't the goal. It wasn't the goal in Haiti. It wasn't the goal in Jamaica when the Maroons were revolted. It wasn't the goal in Trinidad and Tobago. It wasn't the goal anywhere. And so that means we've got lots of work to do. So when Brother Pigbin mentioned that there are so many crises on the continent of Africa that requires the attention of true Pan-Africanists, he is pointing to something very important here. That is, we Africans are allowing our enemies to use us as cannon fodder in their armies to this day. And like Lucia mentioned, it's not a coincidence that the white supremacists who sit in Washington, D.C., knowing full well that they're involved in a genocide in Palestine, they fetch two black faces, a male and a female one, to raise their hands to be the face of genocide. That's why Colin Powell was quite instrumental in the 2004 coup in Haiti. Now, this is often something that is used to demoralize Africans. Because when they take these puppets and they put them in front, many Africans get so much anger towards their own brother, saying that, how could you betray us? And then you forget about the white man. That's the goal. This whole effort of going to Kenya to get 1,000 policemen, at the same time, they're developing all kinds of strategies to get the Haitian police to leave Haiti. Okay, people who study migration can understand exactly what's going on. What sense does it make? Well, it makes sense if you understand what's happening in the Congo, one of the richest places on earth. Okay, they created a crisis there, and they're already using Kenyan troops in the Congo. Okay, that's what they're doing. They use us in their armies, and they've done it forever. During the so-called Second World War, okay, les tirailleurs sénégalais, okay, not only did they not pay them, when it was time to celebrate the liberation of Paris, the Pope contacted the French president and say, remove the black troops so that it could all be white that celebrate the liberation of Paris. They reconfigured the whole thing. So they use us, they kill us, and then, you know, as thanks, you get a kick in the ass. So the betrayal of Lula da Silva in 2004 is something that we do not forgive Lula for, because Haitians were rooting for Lula. We were very proud of his victory. And unfortunately, we see the same thing happen now. In the Caribbean, people start talking about Mia Mottley being the next Secretary General of the UN. And in order to become the next Secretary General of the UN, the price is to betray Haiti and to participate, to go along with this crime. This has to stop, brothers and sisters. We need to stop betraying our ancestors. It's not a betrayal of Haiti. And like Brother Frank said, this is not going to stop in Haiti. If they manage to use the excuse of the Global Fragility Act, okay, because what they are doing in Haiti is an experiment. Many things that they try in Haiti to create a precedent, then they go and apply it elsewhere. And so you can see what their logic is. If they find a land that has resources that they want to steal, they they manufacture a crisis there. Because I think perhaps what needs to be put into the conversation here, I'm trying to see what is most important for me to point out, is that the mayhem that they are presenting you in Haiti as if it's something natural, like Haitians cannot govern themselves, you know, like these fools that just showed up on the thing here, you know, calling people niggers and stuff. These idiots don't understand that the riches that we all sit on, if we are in North America, in Europe, is all blood. It's the blood of African people and native people who were genocided. And so if you live in a house, you never get to do the hard work of harvesting the sugarcane, the cotton, and whatever. Of course, you're going to have time to do literature. You know, if the science experiment that you're doing is you simply go in the field and you catch the first black woman that you find and you put her in a room and you start cutting her and make experiments, yes, you're going to become a biologist, and you're going to have criminals like yourself giving you the Nobel Prize. Especially if then you steal South Africa and you have Africans making all kinds of discoveries in science and engineering, but because you enslave them, you take the credit for all of the things that they've invented. Yeah, you'll become very powerful white people. I feel sad because I have some of my family members who are white. And honestly, you have to lie to yourself to be proud of that history. It's a history of theft, of murder, of plunder, and they've convinced themselves that it has to be like that. The Haitian Revolution said, no, it doesn't have to be like that. And we offered an alternative. And so today, they will give you the impression that this fool named Ariel Henry that they've named Prime Minister of Haiti has called for help from the world. No such thing has happened. Haiti never asked anybody for help. You cannot take a puppet who wasn't elected. Haiti has a constitution. It says how someone becomes a prime minister of Haiti. So Ariel Henry is an imposter, just like that character in Django Unchained, who lives in the big house and his job is to, protect Massa. Okay, that's what Ariel Henry is. That's a character in a minstrel show. But Haiti had real presidents, and you don't need to go in antiquity to find a dignified Haitian president. Jean-Bertrand Aristide was investing in healthcare. 16% of the national budget was invested in healthcare. We reduced the rate of HIV infected people during the government of Jean-Bertrand Aristide, which only lasted 3 years the second time and 7 months the first time. Both times he was overthrown by a CIA coup by a George Bush president in the United States using thugs that they've armed with US weapons. But Jean-Bertrand Aristide was not the only decent president we had in Haiti. All the other ones we had before, like Dumarcet Estimé, deposed by a US coup. Okay? So what it means is that we need to come to terms with what Bob Marley said. How long shall we stand and look while they kill our prophets? Every time we plant a seed, they say kill it before it grows. When he's talking they, he's not talking hypothetical. We're talking about white supremacy that is mainstream. Okay, white supremacy is not those fools who just showed up on our screen here a few minutes ago doing all kinds of nonsense. I couldn't care less about these idiots. They're not a threat. In fact, our meeting is continuing, right? So, they're inconsequential. However, when on January 31st, February 1st, 2003, the prime minister of the country which I live in right now, I hesitate to even say my country, although I've had children in this country and it's my country and I was working in the Canadian government at the time. But I feel so ashamed and disgusted that a set of white men and women met at Mitch Lake in that town where I live over those 2 days. And, they were eating and drinking. And very seriously, these white people decided that Haiti had to be put under UN tutelage, the president of Haiti overthrown, and they were going to put a new army and a new police in place in Haiti. And they did it. These are the skinheads I'm worried about, okay? Because this is white supremacy. White supremacy is mainstream. It has been mainstream, okay? When they are putting puppets in the Congo, puppets in Kenya that they're going to use again to attack other countries whose oil, whose lithium, whose coltan they want to steal. That's what we need to concern ourselves about. And unfortunately, in the Black community, we've satisfied ourselves with figureheads. Oh, yes, we can. We had a Black family in the White House. Doing what? Dropping bombs in Sudan, conducting a coup against Honduras. Is that something to be proud of? No, Barack Obama betrayed us. Kamala Harris betrayed us. I don't even need to talk about Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice. They were never on our side. So we need to stop taking, the attitude that it's about representation. Blackface. Okay, Brother Malcolm X and all the others showed us the way. Okay, now I'll end with this. They keep on praising Nelson Wolilala Mandela, but which Nelson Wolilala Mandela are they praising? The young man who was fighting for his nation, whom they called a terrorist? or the old man who was trembling in his old age, who accepted to rid South Africa of its nuclear arsenal. Nuclear arsenal that they deemed that P.W. Botha and Frederick de Klerk, okay, were wise enough to manage, but not the black Nelson Mandela that the hypocrites pretend to be praising. Meanwhile, Winnie Madikizela Mandela was refused a visa to come to Canada. Why? Because Winnie always looked at the devil straight in the eye and said, "You are ugly." You see, we need to stop looking for the approval of white supremacists. That's what Haiti taught us. We do not need to compromise. We stand for truth, and that truth is worth our lives. And so today, my brothers and sisters are not looking forward to fighting the Kenyans, but they will fight them. And the Kenyans will die. And those who are mobilizing those hundred thousands of dollars for the Kenyans, they don't care about the Kenyans dying any more than they cared about les tirailleurs sénégalais. And I'll end with this links that I'm putting on the chat to say that they actually reached out to Paul Kagame of Rwanda at first. And I don't know why, but Kagame seemed to be smarter than Ruto. He said, "No, I'll pass this one." And then Ruto jumped in. But you need to take a look at the U.S. ambassador who actually explains what the real mission will be for the Kenyans. It's to protect the white families in Haiti. There are 15 white mafia families. One single man named Gilbert Bidjo controls about 50% of the Haitian economy. And he has private ports where he's importing illegal weapons. The gangs work for them. Okay, these young boys that you see in the streets, they do not have access to go and import weapons in the United States. But the man who for 25 years was the consulate of Israel in Haiti, Gilbert Bidjo, he has his own private ports, he does that. And he's on the list of people that Canada has identified as a warlord in Haiti. How come they are not arresting him? They don't need to invade Haiti to arrest him. He's in Florida. I'll end here. Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very informative and very enlightening, John Saintville. I appreciate everything you bring to the table. I'm especially excited to see what the exchange is going to be, being that we're bringing our own experiences, which is unique, but at the same time, they're very similar when we're addressing imperialism and capitalism. I'm interested to see what the exchange is going to be, given that our major problem right now is neocolonialism. And to take off of what Brother John was just saying, the only power that white supremacy has is the attention we give it. So we are pressed to finish this at 8:30, and the forum is now going to be open if anyone has questions. And before we get to the question segment, if anyone on the panel would like to add to which other panelists may have said to contribute to keep the narrative going, you could do so at this moment, and then we could always open up the floor for questioning. If anyone wants to cross contribute to what each other just presented. None? So we can go into question and answers. If anyone has questions, now is the time to ask the panel that. I know the panel said a lot of things that was interesting to me. For Brother Pigeon, if you can explain to me, because what I'm starting to pay attention to is that most of these places have constitutions, and I would like to know what the Kenyan constitution says about deploying their military forces to foreign countries. So if you have that information, it will be good. If not, that's one of the things I was concerned with. I know that Brother John explained about the Haitian Constitution, and that's very important because everywhere the U.S. is, they seem to always be disrespecting the Constitution of other nations. And when they can just marginalize your Constitution, that means that they have no respect for you. So the first thing to start to see whether or not they have any bit of respect for you is to see whether or not they're honoring your Constitution. So on that, if anyone has questions, it will be good because this interaction is so needed. And we have to deal with neocolonialism, people that look like us, who wants to carry in the bidding for colonializers and imperialists. And here comes the suffering and the suffrages when we start to deal with these people throughout the world. So if anyone has a cross contribution to any of you who've presented, it will be most rewarding for those of us who are here listening, because it's important for us to make these connections as you're presenting it to us and sharing with us. But one of the main things I'd like to ask the panelists, based on where you're representing, the constitution of the sovereign state that you're representing is very important because it tells you whether or not somebody's respecting what your wishes are once you've made that declaration internationally. So again, if anyone has questions who are not part of the panelists, if any of the panelists wants to cross contribute, it helps to give clarity on the subject.
Can I go and can I answer that question?
Sure.
Okay, according to the article I've mentioned before in my presentation, it's Article 241 of the Kenyan Constitution that then established the Kenya Defense Forces, the Kenya Navy. And Article 241 Part C or Clause C say the Kenya Defense Forces, including the Kenya Navy, may be deployed to restore peace in any part of Kenya affected by unrest or instability only with the approval of the Parliament, the National Assembly. So the Constitution do not envision the so-called claimed Kenya police to go for an external mission. Of course, the Minister of Internal Security claimed and tried to defend that Kenya's led various missions. But what he lies about is those missions were not led by Kenya police. And if the Kenya police were picked, those two elite squad have said that are coming to Haiti or proposed to come to Haiti are beyond ordinary Kenya police. They are general service unit and rapid deployment unit. So if they have been sent out, they have always been sent out as assistance of the Kenya Defense Forces of the army that is now in, for example, in Congo. So at this particular moment, there was constitutional issues, and that's why up to date, the court has not pronounced itself on clear ruling. That's why the court suspended the ruling to be made on January 26th. But probably that will be after the day they presupposed to send the mission. So it means they will still send the mission without considering the court ruling. And it's very often that the Kenyan governments, even the previous regimes, have always been going against the court rulings and the constitution. So the constitution do not envision a police, so-called police, being sent out for external mission. It only considers the army and navy. And even when it is claimed that the parliament approved such a mission, the parliament did not have any constitutional ground to approve a department of security that is not constitutionally mandated to carry out external duty. So as receiving parliamentary approval is actually unconstitutional, because how do a parliament approve an constitutional body to be given constitutional mandate to go and exercise something that is not within their constitutional previous or within their jurisprudence, you see? And that is the same thing that even when, because I told you, funny thing in this chronology of Kenya mission to Haiti is that first of all, the cabinet approves a mission. Then they request for allocation before it is taken to parliament. In fact, it was out of public cry, then they took it to parliament. And when they took it to parliament, was just to rubber stamp the executive mission. But the question is, how do a parliament approve or rubber stamp? Because we know our Kenyan parliament is controlled by the executive. The president always pour money, bribe the politicians to pass the bills that he want. So up to this particular moment, if the government is going to send the police, unless they send the army, but as they put in their proposals that they're sending the police, if the government is going to send the police, it will be a great violation of the Constitution of Kenya, and probably they might be held accountable by any other body later. But this is one of an unconstitutional move within the constitutional setup. Thank you.
Yeah, I always found that interesting that they're sending their police force as opposed to one of the military units, even though, like you mentioned, they were sending the general service unit and the rapid response unit there, that they would elect to send police. But it's very interesting because then it ties into what Brother John was saying with them ignoring the Haitian Constitution. Brother Joseph, you had a question? You could go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think, I mean, some parallel could be drawn in other parts of the world. In fact, earlier in this year, when I was on a webinar with a Haitian sister, and I mentioned about the effort in Haiti is to destroy the state, the Haitian state, as was done in Somalia. And interestingly, yesterday, on a conversation on Sudan, the speaker was making similar reference. So I would like whether the brother from Haiti and Lucia to respond to the concept that the whole idea is to destroy the sovereign state, these states, make it ineffective, make it, I mean, unworkable. Because I think in Haiti, they begin to describe Haiti as a Somalialization of Haiti. Can you respond to that? And then I'll have a follow-up question. Thanks.
So that's without two.
That's for John and for Lucia.
Okay.
John.
Okay, well, okay, let me, I mean, yeah, that's clear what they're doing. There is this Global Fragility Act that, you know, these people who have lots of time in their hands, they invent these new terms, and they decided that Haiti is going to be one of the first beneficiaries of their experiment. And so in order to do that, you fragilize the state in order to make it a fragilized, you know, to fit the Global Fragility Act. Like I said, it's the UN itself that did the studies that shows that like upwards of 90 to 95% of the weapons, not only they come from the US, but from one state, Florida. Okay, so they could just stop the flow of weapons and ammunitions going into Haiti, because they also have control of the Dominican Republic. It's a puppet that's also there. It's a US puppet. Okay, so this whole thing, if you're looking for parallels on the African continent, okay, look at Mali, okay, and Niger. The French armed, okay, the so-called terrorist, okay, and then offered themselves as the savior that is going to help the people in the Sahel, okay? And then all of the sudden, like, people are noticing that the more the French are helping them, the more they keep dying from these so-called Islamist terrorists who are attacking them. They kick the French out, they take matters into their own hands, and now they're getting victories in the Sahel. So it's not rocket science. During the colonial time, the math was kind of similar because you only had 20,000 whites on the island. And in order for them to control the 450,000 Africans that they had enslaved, they were always looking for help from the British, the French, the Spanish, the American armies. And so that's, if you go look in my article as to who is supporting invasion in Haiti, okay, very quickly you'll find those same people. Okay, what they're calling the bourgeoisie, but these are ultranationals. Okay, it's a buffer class that the United States introduced on the island in the late 1800s, and those guys came from Syria, from Lebanon, and they control the economy of Haiti. Of course, they want that invasion to happen, not to protect the Haitian population, just like the UN troops who were there. And I'm glad that Lucia mentioned General Heleno, and there's Bacela, who they suicided, okay, while he was reading a book. Never heard of someone suicided while they're reading a book anyway, but that's their official version. But he replaced Heleno. And Heleno was saying point blank that if he does what the white mafia families in Haiti were pressuring him to do, that is to invade the poor neighborhoods of Haiti that were areas of support for Aristide and Lavalas, and just clear it, like kill people, babies and whatever. And they did conduct some of these massacres. And he said that, well, he risked ending up in front of the International Crimes Tribunal. So they knew what they were doing there. And the mandate hasn't changed. And you will see all of these people that I said are now on list of people who that they've identified as people who are in cahoots with what they're calling the gangs. They haven't been sanctioned. None of them have lost anything. Gilbert Bidjot was also sanctioned after the 1991 coup. He became richer. So in reality, the real goal of that invasion is to maintain the status quo. And that's why they insist on that transition in Haiti. It has to include the same illegal forces that they've put in power. Ariel Henry, they say this guy has to stay in power somehow. Haitians said, like, where did this guy come from? We never chose him. If you like him so much, why don't you make him, a ruler of Florida or something? Okay? Haitians know exactly that these men are criminal. And then they come back and say, well, your country is not making progress because you have bad leaders. Well, we didn't choose those leaders. So you cannot call them our bad leaders. Your logic is flawed. Okay? And so that's what I would offer with regards to this invasion force. We have to start from scratch in Haiti right now. And one conclusion that's clear from us is that we cannot get help from the United States and Canada and France. We don't trust them. We don't need them. We don't want them. We want them out. Okay? Yeah. Like they keep on inviting themselves in our business. Like we don't know in what language we have to tell them, get out. You saw this pornography that was showing up on our screen there a few minutes ago. When the UN invaded in 2004 to consolidate the US coup, okay, because they knew they overthrew a popular government, so they needed troops there in order to control the black masses. And they knew Brazil has police that is wicked, that have killed black people in the Rio barrios. That's why they went and looked for them, okay? So when they had a CivPol, which was a civilian version of the MINUSTA. And I once went on their website. It was filled with pornography, pedophilia, and all kinds of stuff like that. Okay? And during the whole time that the UN mission was in Haiti, that's what they were doing, raping boys and girls. Like, why would we invite that to our country? That's not what we need right now. And the president that they kidnapped, when he returned in 2011, you know what has been his activity? He reopened his university. Every March, 300 doctors, lawyers, architects are graduating. That's a crime, right? Just like when Thomas Sankara was doing it in Burkina Faso, it was considered a crime. When Lumumba was doing it in the Congo, it was considered a crime. So Black people cannot have, progress in their countries.
That's interesting in that Lucia mentioned that there were 13,000 troops from Brazil going into Haiti. Again, I am constitutionally driven, so I would like to know what the Brazilian constitution says about those sort of events. Who do you select and who do you send when you have a pre-planned agenda to always have seeds of discord within a country? Also, the mentioning of them trying to create this false narrative in the Democratic Republic of Congo because of the valued interest in the minerals being discovered. And it is not by coincidence that they have the same interest in Haiti. So now it's funny how in Haiti you keep on insisting, in a country that can't defend itself, that's been in turmoil for how many years, you keep on insisting on invading. So what is it that Haiti is representing that would deem you it necessary to bring international military and police forces into Haiti? So when we seem to not pay attention to the underlying cause and the movement of these agencies, for me, it's very interesting. I would like to know how Brazil is connected in terms of how they're deploying that special interest unit into Haiti. Because as we as informed people would know, it doesn't even make sense on the top of the table, but beneath the table it makes sense because the issue of land grab always have to do with some sort of precious metals. And it's not by chance that they keep on focusing on Haiti. It has to be a reason. What is it? So what is it that's there that they're insisting now of? They can't do it boldly because there's eyes on them. So how do you do it? You introduce foreign troops to do it for you. You start sowing this, and like you quote Bob Marley, perfect words. They say what we know is just what they teach us. And we are so ignorant that every time they can reach us with political strategies, right? So we're dealing with a lot with people who are willing to do the bidding, who are the neo-colonialists. But Jackie, see, you had a question, so you could go ahead with your question, Jackie.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank everyone that presented. I'd like to address Speaker Mr. Moray. I think that the history is being suppressed everywhere. Personally, where I'm from, our first revolution was in 1733 in the small island of St. John. And it's not being taught in our schools. And I'm sure most people don't know about that. And just like you stated, Mr. St. Bill, they always employ other people because when they came back, they brought the Spanish with them. So I think our history has a long stint of revolution, because we were a free people and we are a free people. And I think that spirit will never die in us. It's just that we need to find a way to educate our young people, make them interested again. And we cannot rely on our oppressors to do that. So I am, for one, I think that we need to go back to what we know. African tradition teach us that we did verbal history. If it's sitting outside with the youngest of our people to get them interested, I think that needs to happen. If it's in the form of stories, if it's through social media, if it's through meetings like these, if it's through going into our communities, it has to happen again. I think that's the only way that we will get our history where we need to get it. We cannot rely on them to do it for us. I don't really have a particular question, but I want to thank you again. And I've learned a lot from this session. Thank you.
Russ, before you take another caller, Pigeon wants to go because he has an interview in the morning. 7:30. So could we acknowledge his contribution and let him go?
Oh, sure. Pigeon, if you would like to make any of your closing statements, now would be ideal to do it. We appreciate the fact that you took time to come here and to be.
Sorry, because I thought there was some questions for me.
Yeah, there were, yes, but Lucia, I think you could wait, because Pigeon time is much further than us. He's way into the morning already, and he said he has to do an interview at 7:30 on the radio tomorrow. So could we allow him to make a last statement so we can allow him to go?
Okay, I send you my thoughts on writing. So, but it was a pleasure. It was a blessing to
Daniela, I'm sorry, Daniela, stay and give your testimony. It's just that Pigeon has, I didn't notice. I'm just being told now, just being presented by Joseph. So just hold 2 minutes, let Pigeon give his statement because he has to go, and we're looking forward for your contribution. So don't leave, Daniela.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that consideration. Indeed, It's been a long day, and as you see, the time difference become very crazy in this other side. I don't know why, but I think it's very important that we have that appreciation. So as I've said that I've spent part of my week to go through the history of the freedom fighters who fought for the independence of this country called Kenya. I have been astonished on how they live very poor life despite of their struggles and the government failure to recognize their efforts. Now that the government is ready to spend the resources to go fight our brothers in Haiti, they cannot recognize the effort of the freedom fighters who fought for the independence of this country. The struggle for Haiti people is the historical and is actually the motivational pillar for any African liberation across the world. They took our brothers out of Africa thinking that they could die out there, but our brothers survived and made a life out there. They are now using ourselves to follow our brothers to finish them. I'll tell you, brothers and comrades from the Caribbean, that you will never go down. You passed a lot, and that is a clear commitment that you will never go down. We are not your enemies. Kenya is
Thank
not your enemy. Is one puppet leader called president who is becoming a puppet of somebody else. We know his election in Kenya was influenced by the CIA. He was installed by the CIA. I was a candidate in that election. I know that. And he has actually gone contrary to our interests and serving the interests of IMF and the rest. But one thing stand, we the black people, wherever we are, we have been targeted, we have been fought, but we've proven to be strong to survive. And we are extending the love to any other people across the world. We are not enemy of anybody. We are peace-loving people, and we actually ready to work with anybody. But we must call out that we will not entertain any puppets within our midst, no matter which skin or which color of their body they belongs to. As long as they join our enemies, we will treat them as enemies. And I request that that should be the treatment, because those who actually tend to be our enemies, like in our struggle for freedom, in a village called Lari, the Mau Mau freedom fighters killed 151 their fellow community members. They killed 151 who were actually collaborators of the white. And that was the necessary step that must be taken. So as I end this, I'll tell you that I send you my solidarity and revolutionary greetings from where I am in Kenya, and know that we are in same spirit to fight together, but we must learn that the neo-colonialists are now becoming more tactical in their neo-colonialist strategies, and we must actually call it out, fight it out, no matter what they use. If they use your brother to kill you, take your brother as an enemy and face him as an enemy, because they have been puppets of money. They are using money. They have looted Congo. They are making wealth out of Congo, and they want to use that in Haiti. Brothers, it has been a long history for struggle, and it will never go down easily. You have to still prove this true spirit of our struggle. And we are looking forward to bring you back in Africa and welcome you back. But if you find a home in the Caribbean, make it home and fight for it, because you never actually got it easily. Thank you very much. And that's my salutation. Greetings to you all.
Thank you, Brother Pigeon. If everyone could just give Brother Pigeon your signs of approval, which it could be a clap, it could be a shout, but just let him know that we appreciate
you, Pigeon. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Pigeon.
We appreciate your contribution, Pigeon. And Lucia, I hope you haven't lost your train of thought. But you could go ahead right now and fall right in. Daniela, we're coming right to you as soon as Lucia can make the connection she was trying to do earlier. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. There is a lot in my mind, but I feel that that is kind of non-forgiveness because there was a revolution in Haiti made of consciousness, made of sovereignty of the people, and Afro-descendant people. And this is something that everywhere, I'm in the south of Brazil, is a very white supremacist state where I live. And anything that you do about Haiti, any cultural, artistic, or any debate, political debate, it's always attacked by those that attack our meeting here. So it's not by coincidence. So, and I think that we really need to educate, because this consciousness that brought the power in order to make the revolution, it was made of knowledge and respect for the ancestors. And we, as we have been saying here, have no knowledge about history. This book here that was written in 38, but it was about the 1700, end of 1700 incidents or history going on. It was just translated into Brazilian Portuguese in 2000. So it's like some people are really discovering this now. And I think what was asked about the Brazilian government and Brazilian law, I think this Lula term is so much different than it was before. Now we really have a revolution going on that is very much based on knowledge, and retake the history of Quilombola people and of indigenous peoples fighting for their rights. And it's not about having representation in the ministry, but there are people that are building the struggles for 500 years, but there are people that are organizing, like the sister of Marielle Franco is one of the Ministry of Social Racial Justice. And the same happening in Honduras, for instance. We met Luther, that is the Ministry of Science and Technology. It's not about he's Black, he's from Garifunas community. They have been fighting for justice there. So the power of these people getting together and being on power now, it's something that it's about educating everyone. So I would like to also recognize the presence here of Natalia Salvatico. She's a sister from Argentina. And for as much as they advanced in Argentina for women reproductive rights, and also for popular economy systems. And Natalia is also an artist, painting the characters, the figures of the revolutionaries from Latin America and Caribbean. So all the names that you mentioned here at your suggestions are welcome for the gathering that we are going to have in Foz do Iguaçu, in this triple border in South America next year, that we hope to have the presence of Haiti and of all the Caribbean region there. So just to answer Antoine, Joseph, that what I think it's not about the sovereignty of the state, although we know also now by in Argentina and what happened in Brazil, that the institutions or the democracy that we got, but from a colonial mindset, what is democracy, what are the institutions? Of course they are important, but what is important is people's sovereignty. How now the Lula government has to retake and rebuild all the institutions of democracy that were lost. But the most important thing is that this government has the criticism and it has the consciousness of the masses to say what has been done into Haiti cannot be repeated. And when Lula got into power that time, the first time, I think there was getting out of more than 20 years of dictatorship, having a very young constitution, and having neoliberal gold years in power. And then the lead of the militaries, the army, was very strong also because of that. The fascism inside the military, the army, it's something that has been hidden so much until Bolsonaro came to power, and they could do all the racist and fascist and the war against people that they were doing. So I think now there is this consciousness, also because there was a tentative of coup in the first week of Lula government as well. And that there are things that cannot be, the government cannot take the back to. like for Latin America, for Caribbean, for our culture, for indigenous peoples, for the need of restoration and reparation, being for women, for Black people, for indigenous people, that are the ones that was the oppressed in order to that system could come out. So I think that is a raising consciousness, that is a hope, that is this feeling of the waters that meet each other and grow, like the integration of people, and no borders and no walls and no fences and military armies can stop us now. So this is the feeling that I would leave here, but knowing that it's a seed that cannot be killed before it grows, but it's a powerful seed, but also it's just starting, because like we missed, there was a erasure of our history, and we count on you all, yeah, to teach us and also come to South America and teach everything again. So thank you.
I apologize for that. My mic was muted. Thank you, Lucia, for that contribution and to making that connection with Brazil. You mentioned a couple of things earlier, but in the essence of time, because people have questions, I'll save that for later in the program. Daniela, do you have a question?
Yes. Thank you, Russ. I do have a question, but in the essence of time, I'll try to make it as quick as possible. My question was going to be directed to Mr. Moore. It's interesting in your biography that you deal a lot with reparations, and you spoke about the relationship between Napoleon and Toussaint, and it's interesting. Debt with France and Haiti, I would say, started the monetary downfall of Haiti, in that they would have repaid between that period between 1825 to 1947, as we know it, about $560 million. And then later in 2004, we see that Haiti would have tried to address that and ask for France to repay that said figure to them. We spoke a lot about military intervention from Kenya and Brazil not being needed. And while I do agree, I think we are well aware that the issue is that of an economic, and we see that Haiti themselves their monetary system has been totally dissolved, is almost non-existent. So you speak on reparations, but from that standpoint, getting to that, that economic climb or that growth again in terms of the monetary dollar and economy, it's going to be hard. Other persons mentioned support, or lack of support from the Caribbean. I think it was Mr. John. He spoke about Kamala Bessessa and her decision in terms of the UN and so on. But given how Haiti is getting all this backlash right now, and most Caribbean or even that of Africa regions, it's very difficult for us to come up to support them. What, or if any, suggestions do you have in terms of facing this issue? The consequences of supporting Haiti outright and probably in demonstration could possibly have an economic impact on other Caribbean societies as well. So how do we go about this? What do you think about it? What are your thoughts on this?
Anna? And you would like to take that question? Mr. Murray, Mr. Ortiz?
Okay.
You?
Yes. Now it is how do I go about this? Well, I'm all for reparations, right? Haiti need to, what does Haiti want? Haiti want free and fair elections, right? Is that so hard? Is that so hard? Instead of trying to get people to come from Kenya, etc., and all over the place, what about free and fair election? You know, why do you want to send troops to control Haiti? Now, what has Haiti got that you can't do without, that you must send troops? You know, Haiti was an industrious place. It could still be an industrial place, but you know, who is controlling the purse strings of Haiti?
Right.
Well, this is what we've got to, you know, to sit back and see what's going on. Self-determination for Haiti, let the people do what they want and control their own. Look up anywhere in Africa, Congo, the richest place on the earth. Who is controlling their economy? And why do they need to put all these puppet leaders in place? You know, within overnight, look at Niger. Niger is now controlling their resources, and overnight they're what the sixth most productive country just by putting up the price of their raw material. One aspect of their raw material. You know, this is what you've got. Who is controlling Haiti? Free and fair. That's what Haiti wants. Why don't we fight for that rather than, you know, have America or whoever sending troops for us to that we don't want to control Haiti? It is a difficult question, and to answer it, you know, we've just got to look at the simple fact that Haiti is not in control of its own resources, its own monetary system, etc. Yeah. Thank you. You're muted.
Sorry. I see clarity in that being added by Brother Jean, who's there quietly, because I can see the connection based on what he's expressed before when he said things that we have to start from scratch in Haiti. There's no other way to do it. And I'm glad that this panel here is recognizing how we're interrelated in addressing that very same question that you have, how we're going to address. Reparation comes from people repairing themselves, not expecting for somebody to give them a monetary value of something of money that they're controlling. So when it comes to reparations means self-repair, not your colonizers not going to repair you on any level, financially or otherwise. It's all a mindset. And when you get the mindset, self-repair means that you're not going to rely on them giving you a compensated monetary that doesn't have any value. That's why Africa right now is separating itself from those financial strings. So I hope that when we say reparations, we mean self-repair and not having to sit down and negotiate with a colonizer who's going to negotiate the terms on monies and banking system that they control. It's a waste of life and time. Brother John, I'm only doing this talking for you to fill in.
Yes, I see another hand up, but yeah, I mean the restitution that President Aristide demanded back in 2003 is about a ransom, right? Which is not to be confused with reparations for enslavement of our ancestors who worked for over 300 years to enrich the Europeans. But in addition to that, once there was end of war between France and Spain and England, they sent an armada to Haiti and started collecting in 1825 the equivalent of now, the New York Times did a piece 2 years ago. They said it's about $115 billion US. That's the amount, that's like the money that was stolen from Haiti. That's not about reparations, it's restitution, because it's armed robbery, basically, which went directly to the French banks. Okay. So, and it didn't matter whether it was during the King of France or when they had, you know, the revolution and they had presidents, they all stole the money, no matter what. So, you know, the element I would say that in the self-repair, Malcolm spoke about that, others, to the realization that we are Africans wherever we are. Okay, it's not like, when they take us to Jamaica, or DNA change because we took our own means to leave Jamaica and go to Haiti or to go to Brazil. Like, we're still African. Okay, and yes, some of us are carrying Portuguese names, French names, whatever now, but that doesn't change the essence of who we are and how the world treats us and how we inhabit the world. And so I would say what I see missing in the efforts that we're doing, I mean, the intellectuals, we're always connected with each other, but we need a more grassroots educational movement so that we have real people-to-people exchanges. Some of the people with the labor organizations are doing it, but I also think that the universities need to collaborate in a more systematic manner. And I would specifically talk about the new experience of the second Lula government in Brazil, because I know a lot of my brothers and sisters have gone to Brazil, have had the privilege of visiting your country in 2014, and especially the university system there. There are many good Brazilian universities. And if there is one space where true people-to-people solidarity with Haiti could happen and must happen now, it's through the connection so that people can do research and innovation projects together, not funded by Canada, not funded by the UN and whatever. I'm talking about real independent stuff that the University of West Indies, the University of Sao Paulo, Salvador, Bahia, that has so much similarity with Haiti, okay, have exchanges so that people can get an opportunity to know each other. And I think during a Lula government, there's a better chance of this being funded, because I can see the difference. During the time when we were there, it was Dilma who was the president, and invariably, all the Haitians that we met in Salvador, or even in Rio, they told us that they were being treated well, okay, in Brazil at the time. Yeah, some of them didn't get the jobs that they were hoping to get, but they immediately gave them papers. They weren't in hiding. And all of a sudden, when Bolsonaro came, we heard people being persecuted, even being killed in Brazil. So we understand that, although we are angry that Lula betrayed us the first time around, it's not as if we don't understand that, it's a dynamic thing. And I only wish good on our brothers and sisters in Brazil, but I think we need to do some more dynamic thing and not rely on the state to state thing, because right now there is no Haitian government. Okay, these fools down there cannot, in fact, any decision that they're making right now, I can tell you, is going to benefit the multinational mining companies that are, Canadian owned, American owned. Like, I don't know what this fool is selling, but technically we don't recognize any of the deals that he would be signing because he's illegal. He's an imposter. So we need to first, as Haitians, recapture control of our state, establish a legitimate government. But meanwhile, we have to continue building those connections with brothers and sisters in Grenada, all over the place in the UK, because we cannot rely on the folks that are running governments. Here in Canada, Canada has a very positive reputation right now still when it comes to, peacekeeping and stuff. But I can tell you, it's undeserved. Okay, it's all propaganda, because all it is whatever crime the United States wants to do unnoticed, they ask Canada to do it for them. That's all. So you cannot rely on them.
Hello.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you for your patience, and you may go proceed with your question.
Thank you, Brother Ross. Yeah, like you, Brother Ross, I was wondering what is it about Haiti that they all want to be there. They're all after something. And I remember when the earthquake happened, I remember noting how quickly the Americans were in, and also the French, and you know, the old colonial masters. And so I've always kind of wondered, you know, why is it they're in there so quickly? The other thing is, I want to say to Frank, thank you, Frank, for your presentation. I find it distressing too that Haitian people are being turned away by Caribbean countries. And I wonder if there isn't something we can do about that. I don't know whether we can write an open letter or some kind of petition to the governments of the Caribbean, whether CARICOM will, you know, have any interest in that, or yeah. So that's something that I, you know, because I think that's really, really awful that that's happening to Haitian people. And the other thing I want to say is that Jamaica's sending troops to Haiti, or are willing to send troops to Haiti. Nobody's talking about Jamaica, and I think, you know, that's disgraceful. And maybe again we should be saying something to Andrew Holness. Why would he be serving American interests in Haiti? I think, yeah. Kenya's highlighted, and you know, that's great that that's being done. But what about Jamaica? And I'm not sure which other Caribbean islands are deploying troops, but certainly I know Jamaica is thinking of deploying troops, and I think that something should be said, or they should be approached in some way. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. That leads to me thinking that any predominantly Afro-descendant countries sending troops to Haiti should be in protection of the Haiti's interests. So if it's being done because the U.S. or any of the sovereign other states are requesting, then it's not, can't be in the interest of Haiti, of IT rather. Shireen, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, it's just in relation to a comment the brother raised, I think two or three comments earlier about Brother Pigeon, and I just want to say that Brother Pigeon is a brother who leads a conscientious study group and has been giving us a lot of insight into a lot of Afrocentric knowledge. And I think sometimes we shouldn't question the variables of who should be representing what country and who is fit enough to do what, because there's a lot of work going on many different frontiers, and a lot of people are working tirelessly for the greater good of our people and the progression and black betterment of our people. Also, I do understand sometimes, you know, we might think that, you know, certain people need to kind of stay off our turf, and that, you know, it should be certain other people who should be concentrating on the works. But I think right about now we need the support, the intelligence, the intel of the diaspora, and we just need to work together for the greater good. And I just wanted to contribute that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Shireen. Joseph, you have a question?
Yeah, I think even just to respond briefly to the sister, I think we have to be clear whether we're talking about states or citizens. For the most part, when we say we are opposed to Kenyan invasion, is that by the Kenyan state as recruited by the Americans and the other imperialists? If you look at what is happening, the connection between Bhutto and the imperialists and the Zionists. Kenya, for instance, is going to send 1,000 workers to Israel to fill the vacuum that Africans and Palestinians and so on are not able to do right now in Israel. in harm's way. You're sending your people in harm's way. I mean, there's war going on in that part of the world. You're sending people there. And also, wholeness. They have declared support for Israel. I mean, so when Sister Pam said we need to check on Jamaica, we need to. And then even Mia Motley. Mia Motley is just like Ruto. They say the right thing internationally, but they undermine their own people, their own Caribbean. So we need to understand that. And as the brother said, John says, we need to stop betraying our people. But we need to understand how we are doing that. But every time we listen to Western propaganda and we internalize that and act on that, we are doing that. There must be solidarity. And I mean, one of the reasons I really wanted this thing to happen is because there's silence in the Caribbean. I mean, Haiti is a bad word in the Caribbean. The minute time you say Haiti, voodoo, evil, devil. No, we need to clear this up. And who have done that to us? The same imperialists, same enemy of Black people. So we must as a necessity evolve the consciousness where we see Haiti. We should be almost worshiping Haiti for what they have done to us. Because without Haiti, they probably by no nation state of Grenada and other place, but yet we turn the Haitians off. And we are quick to respond to Zelensky and to Biden and them to denouncing Russia. But we can't see what is happening in Sudan, the genocide taking place there, or in Congo, because we are taught to see ourselves as distant, not connected, and that's the problem. The same thing of the experience of the Black people in Haiti, I mean, the African people in Haiti under Bolsonaro. And in terms of support of what John said about the connection, I was privileged recently to be invited by some Brazilians to be on part of a panel, although it was kind of difficult for me because I don't understand Spanish or Portuguese, but at least I still feel connected. Being a presenter, but I think it was Salvador University and some other group from Latin America, Ecuador and all of that. So they're trying to develop Afro-tourism and Afro-trade in the Americas. We need to celebrate that. We need to encourage that and don't wait for the imperialists to tell us about trickle-down economics and all the nonsense that get us further and further into degradation. I hope I've been clear.
Thank you, Joseph, for that contribution. Ida, you have a question or a statement?
Yes, I think that I would really like to hear more from Brother Jean about the 15 white mafia bosses, because I think a lot of people don't know who's really running Haiti. And we just hear about, there are all these groups that are fighting each other. But I think that, until people start working out who these groups are, we don't know. So we just think, why is there always unrest? But I think that they need to be named and shamed, even if, maybe shame, yes, they should be named and shamed because people just don't know them outside Haiti. So that's what I would suggest, that, there should be more information about them to the outside world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ida. That's a very good insight because I was wondering that myself. Who are these individuals? And if we can't speak to their deeds, then it goes unannounced and unaddressed. So I'm in agreement with you, Ida. And Brother John.
Yeah, well, I'll say, that's the reason why in the last couple of years I've focused a lot on a couple of names within those families, right? Because we're really talking about, there are 6 of them that are the richest. In fact, there's an acronym which is a word play. We say BAM BAM, using the first letter of the names of the richest ones. So Bijo, the first B, Accra for the first A, M for Meuse, and then another B, which is Brant, another A, Aped, and then under M, Madsen. As you can see, all of these names are of either Jewish or Syrian or Lebanese, and they are people who were introduced into Haiti by the US in the late 1800s when the US wanted to displace the remnants of the Germans and the French who compose the mulatto Haitian elite. Okay? And these guys, they each organized themselves to be the consul general of a foreign country. So, for instance, I believe it was Madsen or Brent who was representing Jamaica in Haiti. Okay, so they would do that because as a consulate, you get diplomatic immunity. So this protects them as they're doing contraband, they invest in coups. If they don't like the president, they collect money and they blow up the National Palace once. Okay, so how can these guys be so powerful, surrounded by Africans who clearly see the distinction between their way of life and theirs? Okay, how can that survive? Well, if you don't understand, when they say Haiti is a republic of NGOs, okay, and people who've been to Haiti can see that, especially after the earthquake, they flooded Haiti with NGOs. A lot of these things told you that they're doing orphanage to help the children and blah, blah, blah. And the more they send, the more time they spend in Haiti, the more Haitians are impoverished and the richer these organizations become. It's not rocket science. You can understand what's going on. Okay, so these families work hand in glove with the imperialist embassies. They form an apartheid community in Haiti. They send their kids to the same schools, and basically, it's like they have their own world in Haiti. Okay, and they're white. Okay, let's be clear about that. You go to the poorest neighborhood in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, in the capital, which is Cité Soleil, and you drive your car up the mountain to Pétionville, and as you're going up, people are changing skin color. Okay, you go from dark black to light skin, and then all of a sudden, every Haitian you see up there in the mountain is white. Okay, that doesn't happen by coincidence. And here we're not talking about a mixed population like you have in Trinidad and Tobago and stuff like that. No, in Haiti, it's 99% Black people. So we're really talking about 1% of the population. Okay, and they get their power not from themselves alone, but the fact that they are representatives of the United States, unofficial representatives of the United States. So for instance, if we take Bijo, who is the billionaire who invests in all of the petroleum products that come to Haiti. He controls that in Haiti, in Dominican Republic, and in Jamaica. The one person, okay? For 25 years, he was the consul general for Israel. And then he passed it over after 25 years to his son, Reuven, who now controls his conglomerate, the GB conglomerate. Now, imagine that the richest person in Canada would be found to be funding, the criminal gangs. We have two big criminal gangs in Canada, one called Rock Machine, the other one Hells Angels. I cannot imagine that something like that would be in the news, and then for there to be no arrest, no trial, 1 year later. Okay, Gilbert Bidjo, Sheriff Abdallah, and Deeb, which is another one. All of these guys, you'll see their names are not African names, okay? They're all from that same group, and they intermarry as well. That's another way they maintain their whiteness, okay? Their names have been listed as people who have used their private ports, their connections to get the weapons to go to the gangs, and they also fight each other using those black youth gangs. But none of them have been arrested. Okay, so when you hear that, on the contrary, the former US ambassador to Haiti, her name is Pamela White, she issued a set of op-eds in newspapers in the Caribbean and in the US 1 year ago, started in August 2022. And she said that the Haitian private sector, which is another code word for those 15 white mafia families that I mentioned about, because they import, export everything. You will not find a black Haitian who is, a millionaire who is doing that kind of stuff. They control that. They cornered that. And like I said, they prefer to intermarry in order to keep the money in their families. So now these guys, their names have been out there as warlords, but no one has arrested them. And on top of it, this is not the first time. When the first coup against Aristide happened in 1991, the United States issued a list. All of these families, like I think that list included hundreds of individuals. They were supposedly sanctioned by the US, travel restrictions, etc. And what happened to these guys? Well, when the US lifted that embargo, no one knew. So for instance, there's a lot of show demonstrations from the US and Canada because they're well aware that educated Haitians know that the mess that we have in Haiti is a direct consequence of their intervention in the country. So, in other words, they are pretending to be sanctioning some of the Haitian criminals, but it's really just for show. They're not really doing that. In other words, they're trying to maintain the system without having a popular revolt. That's the way that I would describe it. Now, why aren't you seeing this in the New York Times, on CNN? Gilbert Bijou, the only time I met the man, I was in his jewelry store after the coup in 91, and he was with his brother joking how they don't understand how come George Bush is even listening to the supporters of Aristide about Aristide coming back to Haiti after they had contributed to electing George Bush Sr. to the presidency of the United States. Okay? So you will not see their names on CNN. You will not see their picture when they're telling you that they're doing documentaries about Haiti. And that's why I have insisted on penning a few articles where I use the term white warlord, okay? Because those words, okay, are never connected. Okay, when they use dictatorship, it's never about some kind of white leader. Okay, well, that's not because they don't exist. It's a choice. Okay, and so I take the choice of focusing on the white warlords. That doesn't mean they're the only criminals, but their whiteness has been added to their money privilege in order to make them invisible, when in fact, everywhere you look in Haiti, in terms of crime, they are present, especially in the kidnapping business. To this day, there's only one of them who's been arrested for kidnapping. His name is Brant. And the reason why he was arrested is because he kidnapped another white Haitian. Okay? So the message is clear. Okay? White lives matter. That's, and that's true in Haiti as it is in the streets of Ottawa.
Thank you, John. While you were saying it, I was wondering if those European gangs that are there right now, because they are gangs, if they identify as Haitians.
When it suits them. There's one of them who was involved in the assassination of Jovenel Moïse. When they caught him, they said he had 10 passports in his pockets. He was Chilean, Haitian, and most of them are American. Like I said, Gilbert Bijou lives in Florida. So if they were to arrest him, they wouldn't need to invade Haiti. But the man tells you that he is a funder of the Republican Party in the United States. So who's going to arrest him?
That's
The
it.
day they arrest Gilbert Bidot is the day they're going to also arrest Bill Clinton. You remember after the earthquake, they collected $13 billion in the name of Haitians for the rebuilding of Haiti. Remember who was in charge of that money? Bill Clinton.
Right.
Okay. Have you seen anything built in Haiti after the earthquake? Okay. And they keep on asking Haitians, okay, what happened? Where's the money? Well, you didn't give the money to Haitians. Why are you asking Haitians where's the money? Go ask Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Go ask the Red Cross, the International Red Cross. They are the ones who enrich themselves. Okay. There's a sister, Ezeli Dantor, who always talk about that. You know, they are pimping Black misery. Okay. A lot of the NGOs are pimps.
Yes.
They go around talking about, you know, how there are malnourished children in the Congo, malnourished children in Haiti. And what are they doing about it? They're pimping it because they collect money, okay, and the children are still naked. But their own children are not naked. So we need to stop that. And you know, to me, it's people to people solidarity. When we have progressive governments, like you have a window, for instance, right now in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger. Well, show solidarity to them now. I was privileged to go to Venezuela to see how within a short window of time, Hugo Chavez was able to change the lives of Black Venezuelans. Okay. These things don't Lula did the same thing with Black Brazilians. These things don't happen without having policy. And like I said, President Aristide, although he's no longer in power, okay, if you look at what they have accomplished since their return in 2011, it shows you how much has been stolen from Haiti. Okay, those last 20 years where we were denied our own leadership is like a crime against humanity. And so, in addition to the reparations that were already owed to Haitians, Jamaicans, Brazilians, etc., they've compounded their debt because, as far as I'm concerned, Canada, the United Nations, for having contaminated 1 million Haitians with cholera. Okay. And we had to prove it because they denied it. They tried to hide it. They tried to say that, well, you know, cholera was already there. No, the studies were conducted saying, no, your soldiers that you brought to consolidate the coup brought the cholera. Therefore, it's the United Nations responsibility. What happened when Haitian lawyers went to New York to sue the United Nations? The government of the United States, led by Barack Obama, mobilized lawyers to defend the UN. And so not a cent in reparation to the Haitians.
And
So
that's interesting that you're saying that, because when you're saying that, I'm remembering that Lucia mentioned the death from the cholera epidemic and how it was abandoned, and then you're mentioning reparation in the same sentence. So I'm trying to see, well, where is Mr. Murray is going to fit this whole reparation issue when we know that it's part of these sovereign states that control the world, so to speak. It's part of their tool chest to do things like introduce diseases and experimental procedures like earthquakes.
yeah,
That's a
depopulation.
That's a proven technology that they're mastering, the creating of earthquakes. Believe it or not, it's not by error, it's by scientific methods that they can create, you know. So Haiti is not only suffering from the fact that it has something so valuable that all these powerful states are insisting on addressing in that, how should I say, this vicious way of addressing on people who otherwise doesn't have an army. But I'm interested to find out how Mr. Murray is going to tie the reparations into what Mr. John said and into what Lucia brought forward as far as the letters coming from Biden going to the Brazilians, what's in the, you know, asking for participation on to what extent do you offer people or try to convince people when it's obvious to others that you're doing so to marginalize the native and indigenous population like you normally would do in a time when it's evident with all the information that we have that that's exactly what they're doing. So I'm interested to find out, Mr. Murray or Lucia, if you can add comment.
They did say, if you were, is it a vicarious bystander standing up in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, you know, you would go crazy for the way the British, the Portuguese, the Spanish were up and down the island. 1 minute it's British, the next minute it's Spanish, you know, and you see the result of what's happening now in Guyana. Where is the border, right? One part of the border is Essequibo, another part, there is Berbice and Suriname. Suriname now claiming one part of Guyana, and Venezuela the other part of Guyana, or so it's been sold to us. Now you look at the borders all around that area. You know, where are the borders? The borders were like that, you know, for 50 years. Then the Spanish take it over, and they've moved the border, and you know, so trying to prove a border case now would be something. It would be something to behold, because these borders have been changed so many different times by so many different things. You know, 1 minute it's San Domingo and Hispaniola. Next minute it's Haiti, and you know, where are the borders are continually changing, and now we have got to solve the problems that was left by those imperialists and those colonialists, right? And it is up to us to do these things.
Either when I come to you, Lucia, I'm sorry, if you have anything to add to.
Yeah, just that Joseph promised that we can also have another discussion on this, what is happening in the Equatorian margin and Caribbean and Guyana and Venezuela, because why they portray that, okay, Venezuela and Guyana are fighting for land, the Texaco, Chevron are making the party in that equatorial margin, and trying to put people against people. And
yeah, that's exactly.
So to also to recover the memory of Petro-Caribbean, of doctors, Cuban doctors and health system of Cuba sharing not only in the Caribbean region, but so key for the whole South America and Central America, and how all this imperialist power has always been defeating and always been using the territories of Central America also to surveillance of the region, and also open space for the transnational corporations. And then we are like in this climate colonialism, also saying, okay, if somebody touches the oil, even if it's strategic resources and sovereignty, to give people education, to give people health and everything. And it's not comparable in terms of taxes of exploitations compared to Shell, Chevron, Texaco. There are just drilling and exporting our goods. I think it's a good and challenging, even for us, like environmental justice organization, to talk about it, but it's very much needed to talk about this with the perspective and consciousness of people in the Caribbean and Black people, also from Nigeria and other countries that have been ripped off when they have the natural resources, and when they make moves to retake the people's sovereignty. So yeah, I just looking forward to be with you again in another discussion like this, and that Joseph and also IT Survey will be closer to us in Latin America. And again, invite you all for the journey, the continental journey, the journey of Latin American Caribbean people's integration next year. I think would be an opportunity to share more and learn from each other, and also learn about the experience that was called, there was the public universities in Brazil, the universities of integration, and all the system of of quotes and reparations, like giving access to study, giving access to be in the public space, to be discussing science, to be building knowledge and bringing knowledge to academy. And this is, yeah, the roots of the revolution that it's about to come.
And thank you, Julie, because it's very important, because I think those of us who are here, we're aware that what one of the tools that the U.S. uses to sow discord. And if you look at all the different little wars that are happening, all of a sudden now Venezuela and Guyana has a problem. They never had a problem before. So why is it now, again, you're funding the war? It's not even a war between Israel and Hamas.
You would like it to be a war, but
Exactly, teenage group. Then you're all over the place, and you're funding the Ukrainians. Now all of a sudden, now you're involved in this separation of states in South America between two states that otherwise wouldn't have a say in anything other than the fact that they're sitting on oil reserves. So we know from my experience with them is that they always change. Borders are very important. When they want to manipulate, they will change the border on you. They will rename something. And this is what they usually do. But so as not to go in, Ida, I apologize. If you can go ahead with your question, Ida.
I'm afraid I want to ask Brother Jean again about Bill Clinton or the Clintons, because I keep hearing awful things about them, and I can't quite work out why they're in Haiti. Because you'd think that if it was so unstable, they wouldn't want to be there. Yet, I don't know, there's somebody in another group who always has bad things to say about why they're there, and seems to imply that there might be some sort of maybe pedophilic things to do with children. Yeah, well, and I just think, really, how come that's not coming out? And that after the earthquake, there are not amount of children who disappeared and things like that. So I was wondering if you could maybe say, why are they there? Why are they, why do they insist on staying there? You'd have thought that their safety would have been at risk somehow. So maybe you could tell us a bit more, please, if you don't mind.
Yes, well, I think your last comment might hint at it. That is, the safety of the Clintons are never at risk anywhere. Henry Kissinger just passed away at what? How old was he? 105 or something? After having committed all kinds of crimes. So that's part of the problem. It's total impunity. The reason why the Clintons are not liked in Haiti is multifold. One of them is Bill Clinton having himself admitted that it was his policies in the early 90s that caused the total collapse of Haiti's rice production. And he did it because the US wanted to dump rice as aid in order to support the farmers of Arkansas, where Bill Clinton comes from. Because, the Haitian farmers cannot compete with the subsidized farmers of the United States. It's not, this capitalist system is not supposed to work that way. And he knew what he was doing. And like many white criminals who are cowards, once they are no longer president, they try to create a new persona for themselves, like Jacques Chirac, once he was no longer president of France, started to make speeches about how France has stolen so much from the Africans. Yeah, well, what did you do while you were president? We don't care about, all your sanctimonious speeches once you technically don't have any more power. And so Bill Clinton, during after the earthquake, got involved again in Haiti to claim that he's going to help rebuild Haiti better. and they benefited from the fact that there was total collapse and chaos in Haiti after the earthquake, to say that, okay, now we're going to implement a policy that is going to create more sweatshops, and that's going to create jobs, etc. But there's something called Friends of Bill, and Donald Trump has a lot of things one can say to criticize him, but he actually was one of the few people interested, because of self-interest, of course, he was the candidate, to shed light on some of the many crimes of the Clinton couple in Haiti. And unfortunately, the American people do not have democracy. Their duopoly is two corrupt parties, and people within the Democratic Party are too scared to clean it up. And that's why to this day, they don't even know what they're going to do, because if this old man dies, they don't know who's going to be able to beat Donald Trump at the polls. Okay. So they're actually in trouble right now. But if it was just going to affect them, we could say, well, we don't care. But they're a very powerful country that create a mess for the whole planet. The other reason why the Clintons are not liked is that Hillary Clinton personally intervened in the election in 2010 and ordered the director of the Electoral Council in Haiti, Pierre-Louis Aupon, to change the results of the election so that Michel Martelly could become president. Now, this has been documented by people who were members of the Electoral Council, like Jeanette Cherubin, Ricardo Centenfus, who's actually Brazilian, but he was a member of the OAS, wrote a book describing how Hillary Clinton flew from Washington in order to change the results of the election. And Michel Martelly is this man who basically became president of Haiti, public amuser, a very mediocre musician, and stole much of the Petro-Caribe funds that Haiti had access to. For the first time, Haiti had access to $4.2 billion in its budget, thanks to the Petro-Caribe funds. And those of you in the Caribbean, you can see some of the states have built, sports infrastructure and all kinds of stuff, roads, and Haiti, having never had a budget that was really sizable, never built these infrastructures. And now we had it. The Americans made sure they placed their boy there to steal the money. And where is Michel Martelly today? He's in Florida, an American citizen. In fact, it was completely illegal for him to sit as president of Haiti, because at the time we didn't recognize dual citizenship. And even if we do now, Haiti would not allow someone who holds another citizenship to become president of the country. So, and it was an American ambassador who went and lied, bold-faced lies, saying that no, this man is a Haitian. He's not American. Of course, he's an American citizen, and he's suspected also in the murder of his of the puppet that he put in place after him, because their plan was that Jovenel Moïse would do 5 years, and then after 5 years, Michel Martelly would come back, and then they would go like that ad infinitum. Okay. And Michel Martelly basically called his group the legal bandits. Okay. And they're the ones who are still in power. Okay?
Thank you, John. The thing, speaking about, when you're speaking of Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton's mission from those who sent him is to make sure that he seeks control over the natural resources of places. I know this firsthand. So he goes in as the front for the manipulation of states' natural resources. Joseph, you had a question? And to let you know, it's supposed to be closing.
Before we get to,
be closing, but before
we get to Joseph, can I just
Sure.
answer?
1 second.
John wants to leave. John said he wants to leave. And also I want to recognize Dr. Nicole Burrows from Bristol University. she had difficulty coming in. She and her colleague is there. I want us to acknowledge her. And maybe she can say a few words.
1 second, please.
Yeah. There was,
Frank, the
yeah,
panel. Go ahead, Frank, please.
yeah. Pamela did ask a question about why is Jamaica sending troops. No, it is part, I think Haiti is part of CARICOM, right? And what we do, we set these groups up to protect ourselves against the evil empire that's around us. But the thing is, if you take, I'll just go, another example would be Niger, right? Or Niger, right? As the French would say. They have ECOWAS there, who is, and also a protection that they've joined. But you can see who it was that the first set of people who wanted to reverse the revolution in Niger was ECOWAS, because we set these things up, but it doesn't mean all the leaders are thinking the same way. They still have stooges within these leaderships, right? It's the same as CARICOM, right? You would wish that the leaders there are thinking the way you think, but you still have people who goes and wave at Netanyahu and these kind of things to prove whose side they're on. So yes, CARICOM was set up to protect us, and I suppose if you are going to be protected and you're in a group, then if you need assistance, then you would look to them for assistance. So probably this is why Jamaica has been asked to send troops, etc. But again, it's who are the people who are controlling the strings? Which is it America doing it to help Haiti, or are they doing it to help America? So these are the questions we've got to find out. Questions have to be asked. But I suppose they would have a legitimate right, if they're part of this association, to be there and offer assistance.
Thank you for that insight.
Yes, Russ, I just want us to recognize Dr. Burrows, please.
Okay, you've done that, Joseph. Give me a second. I was just Dr. Burrows, Joseph Antoine is gifting you his time. So the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. It was just really good to be here and be part of this conversation. I'm going to give my time to Nixon Boomba, and he can tell you a little bit about who he is and his relationship to the work in Haiti.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be part of this conversation tonight. And Jacques Haiti, Mario and I, we've been talking about you. We will back to you for some work to do. I'm based in Port-au-Prince. I'm just visiting here, and I feel grateful to participate in this conversation. And to echo what you said, Jean-Saint-Ville, I will just add a few things. After the earthquake in Haiti, we realized the government issued more than 52 permits to exploit mining in Haiti. One of the companies who got your one exploitation permit is owned by the brother of Hillary Clinton. And the Minister of Economy and Finance, who was in charge of this portfolio for the Haitian government, right after leaving from the position, he went to work for the same company. And then just imagine what's happening in the north of Haiti. They spend more than $600 million to build the Caracol Industrial Park, which is a mess for getting access to cheaper labor for U.S. businessmen and businesswomen. And now everything we have hearing between Haiti and Dominican Republic is from this investment that U.S. push Dominican businessmen to create this free trade zone alongside of the border of Haiti and Dominican Republic. And other thing I will add is the relationship between Clintons and Denis O'Brien, the CEO of Digicel. I don't know, we might be familiar to Digicel, and they create this space they're calling Clinton Global Initiative, where they raise money for NGOs and other actors in Haiti and to take control of businessmen and businesswomen. And they were very close to Michel Martelly. And I don't know, Jean Saville can tell something about that, because after Martelly left the power, there's this big scandal where she said the money, the Petro-Caribbean Fund was used to build, for example, Marriott and other very fancy hotel in Port-au-Prince. You know, and there's another thing about our Clintons. I don't have anything to prove that, but we know the role they play to destroy Haitian economy and to block any possibility for Haiti to build a democracy in the country. It's huge. You know, we don't need to lie on them. You know, put Martelly in the power with 700,000 voters on a population of 6 million people. It is clear. And Pierre-Louis Aupon said that 5 years after the result was published, it is not the result himself signed. And they put Jovenel Moise with 500,000 on like 7 million voters. The illegitimacy and the illegality of this voter make themselves incapable to run the country. This is why they create this constellation of gang. It is not a gang, it is an army to maintain the status quo, to maintain the power. And behind themselves are the imperialistic government like US, OIS, and European Union. Now, it's US who want everywhere to ask people to lead the military intervention in Haiti. It wasn't Ariel Henry. Ariel Henry was like a porte-parole. You know, he doesn't know anything about that. It's the US. US trying to resolve their own problem in Haiti. Because of the resistance of people, they are not controlling the country. The only way to controlling the country is to criminalize lives of people. And when we just take a look to the report that the UN Commission just issued a few months ago, you will see the ecosystem of criminality in the country. We don't need military intervention to resolve this situation. If we want to resolve this problem, we know what to do. Without military intervention, they will try to keep the situation under control, to organize election, to normalize the crisis with any real solution for Haiti or for the security in the country. This is what I would like to add to this wonderful conversation as well.
And thank you for that insight, and it's needed. So I can see now that we need to do a part 2 as soon as possible. And perhaps you have to come to the panel, Mr. Burrows, because this is what's needed for us to be able to progress information and facts and nothing else. I want to take the time to let you know that. Go ahead.
1 second. One thing I would offer, I have a contact with a bunch of people from Kenya. They are waiting for being connected with other people who advocate again the Kenyan intervention in Haiti, and we can work on that together. You know.
Oh, good. So then collectively, we want to thank, this is not possible without the efforts of Joseph, who organized this. We want to recognize his efforts and his work in trying to get the panelists together with all the technical difficulties that were occurring. The boroughs, please, I know you're already doing it, but keep in touch with Joseph so we can make this happen, because it's very important for us right now to bring all these factions together and to make sure that we have a progressive group who knows what the answer is. We know what the problem is, but now we have to work on it, because right now in many places in real time, right now, today, they're doing to us in Haiti about things we think we would read about 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 years ago. It's happening right now. So I am of the opinion, not of the opinion, the train of thought is that we can't come to these sessions to speak the obvious. We have to start doing something about it because they don't expect us outside of their forum where they don't have control to be doing anything. It's obvious that we're intelligent enough to know what the problems are. And we could speak about the problems all we want to from now until kingdom come. But if we're not doing something about it, all we're going to do is read that somebody wrote that somebody did this in the book. We don't want that because right now in our faces, they're doing this to Haiti right now as we speak. It's not 10 years ago. It's not 20 years ago. It's not 30 years ago. It's not 40 years ago. It's not, it's right today, tomorrow. So let's get these, I'm excited because I know there has to be a part two. Lucia, thank you for coming from Brazil. Thank you for your energies. Thank you for your insight. It was greatly appreciated. I learned a lot. I took a lot of notes. I don't have time to ask questions, but I appreciate you. Johnson Vinville, you're a treasure trove of inspiration when it comes to the on the ground issues in Haiti. Mr. Murray out of the UK, I appreciate your presence here, sir, and to be able to participate and to be able to add to this panel of full of information and just bringing us with full excitement because now we want part two. So we're not going to sit down and say, hey, hello, and then before you know it, 5 months, 6 months has passed before we have another one. So everyone, bother Joseph, he don't mind. Let's get the second one going. Bother him so much that he's going to say he's tired, he don't have time. Bother him because it's really needed. I'm glad that this, look at who's here today. Look at who he brought here today to address this very serious problem with IT. Right now, people, I can't say, I will repeat myself 1,000 times. It's happening right now as we speak. It's not something in the news from 10 years and 20 years ago. Right now, we're experiencing what they're doing to Haiti. How can we sit down and not do anything? And we know what the problems are. We know who's doing it. So people, we're intelligent, right? And we have integrity. Let's do something. Thank you, panelists, for doing this. Thank you, Joseph, for putting it together. It's a lot of informative information. I'm excited. I can't wait for part two. Let's do part two. More people are going to come. The boroughs, I thank you guys for coming forward and adding to this at the late moment. It's not your fault because we had technical difficulties. Me, myself had it. But people, thank Joseph Antoine for bringing this together. It wasn't easy from the limited organization he's working with. Him, himself, and I. That's who did this. So we want to recognize Joseph's efforts in making sure that we stay together on this issue and the outreach keeps on going. So people, thank you all for participating. Thank you for your contributions. Keep this going. I hope that when we hang up this phone and hang up on this call, that it doesn't die there, that we keep in touch because we have to keep this going, people. It is organically happening that we're getting rid of imperialism and capitalism at the same time. This is what the Great Reset is all about, people. We're part of the reset. And what are we resetting? We're resetting the fact that capitalistic and imperialistic ideologies are no longer going to run the world. So be blessed and thank you for participating, people. Have a good and safe morning, evening, night, wherever you're from. Thank you. I'll have to extend you that word of love. Means that your fight is my fight. And my fight is your fight, and that's how we have to address this. Let's share and let's do this thing, people. Enough of the abuse of IT. When is it going to stop? Right now, in real time, in our face. Thank you, Brother Pigeon, who left early. We appreciate your contributions, and like you said, the struggle in the Caribbean is not going to die because we are island states. We do have government. We do have budgets. We do have an economy. We do have culture. We have all these things. But the capitalistic and imperialistic would like to make us believe that we don't know these things. So that's why they can boldly do the things that we're complaining about right now. So people, thank you once more and, be blessed. Have a good evening. Have a good day. Have a good afternoon. Rest well. Be productive. We have work to do, people. Let's do it. All hands on deck. Let's go forward. Be blessed.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you all.
Yes, was the proceeding recorded, this section of it? Do you know if it was recorded?
It's being recorded from what I can see.
Okay. Because Martin couldn't get back on. He was blocked from getting back on.
I don't know why you couldn't get on because, okay, well,
Every time
let me just end this. Let me end this here now and we can talk later. Okay. Coming out of the Zoom.